Hey, it's Dr. Nat here, and I am here with Mark Horvath, one of my favorite people in the whole world.
Why, thank you.
Not just because he is helping the homeless with social media, because he is a gentleman and a scholar.
Oh, you're way too kind.
No,
You're
I'm
way
totally
too
serious.
kind.
I'm going to have him come and talk to my class at UCLA because social media is truly changing the world, and he is one of the people who is doing that. So, Mark, tell me a little bit about social media and the homeless.
Well, a couple of things. First off, to tag off what you just said, we have never been, I think, in a place where each and every one of us has the power to change the world right from the mobile devices we carry in our hands, our pockets, our purse, our backpacks, or whatever.
So the second screen is now becoming the change agent device of the whole universe.
Well, you have a choice. You can either talk about the bologna sandwich you had for lunch or the last Dog the Bounty Hunter episode.
And a lot of people, right? That's what happened with social. So people would come to me and they go, Doctor, I don't get this because, people are talking about, oh, I just had lunch or I took my cat for a walk. And people are like, so why is that relevant? And it's only relevant in context, but the truth is that we can use social media if we have a focus and a purpose. And your focus and purpose was to look at the homeless and how do we help them?
Yeah. Well, and again, to tag off what you just said, and then this is a social media topic, correct? I think I was being a little cynical, sarcastic about the Dog Bounty Hunter reruns, and basically the point was, you have a choice of do you change the world or do something good or talk about yourself. And I think the bologna sandwich and the Dog the Bounty Hunter plays a part. We live in a world where we want to be connected to people. And this is especially important to the big brands because
there's the everyday citizen blogger, citizen journalist who wants to chronicleize their life, right? So they're bologna sandwiches and they're taking a cat for a walk. I think also it goes back to, and this is just my theory, a sense of belonging. And if we go back and we look at Joseph Campbell, and he really tells us that the importance of storytelling and the sense of belonging. So when I look at that, and I look at the idea of social media is the ability to connect us, kind of this invisible net, and to feel related and to realize we're not alone.
Chris Brogan and Julian Smith wrote Trust Agents, two of my favorite people and one of my favorite books. And I think that, it plays a part in building that trust. Is showing the bologna sandwich and the Dog the Bounty Hunter,
right? Because we're real people doing real things, and we're not every single word is bought or paid for. It's authentic. It's what we're doing.
The way I use social media is can't say it's different because I'm sure others do. What I try to do is bring people vicariously with me. So majority of people they're not going to go into a tent city or under a bridge or down the Skid Row. And you know what? I'm a realist. There's a lot of great causes in this world, and whether it be Save the Whale or human trafficking or I support Charity Water, pick a cause, do something. But is it okay if I completely forget what I was talking about?
And see, this is just normal because it happens to all of us. So specifically,
it was a really good point.
I know.
And then I had to go off on the tangent.
Well, you'll find it. It's up there.
Yeah.
It's up there. It'll come back to you. So specifically, tell me how you use. Okay, good.
Yeah, and how I use social media is I bring people vicariously along with me, along with the ride. They're not going to go into the 10 cities or Skid Row. So I call it reality twittering. And you're a doctor. So one of your research projects, because this is just me, a whim. I think social media is almost an extension of reality TV.
It is, because we're all like actors in a play.
Right, exactly.
And talking about, I'm doing this, I'm doing that.
Fox was the first with cops, and then now we have, the storage wars and everything else, all these other crazy things. And on top of that, social media lets us look into everybody else. So I play off that a little bit, and I call it reality twittering. Some people might call it life casting, So as I go, I use, it's very important because there's two aspects of it. InvisiblePeople.tv is a homeless blog that empowers homeless people to tell their own stories. So that's content, creating content.
Right.
But as I'm outgoing creating the content, in real time, I'm doing incremental, linear nuggets to bring people along with me.
So the homeless, you're teaching them how to use social media?
Well, that's a whole nother conversation. There's We Are Visible. Main site's InvisiblePeople.tv. The We Are Visible side started off as social media literacy for homeless people. What I've noticed, and I'm working up a presentation. Social norms play so big in social media, the same real life stuff. So what I thought a long time ago was that homeless people, I built something on Facebook. First thing is, don't build your sandcastle in somebody else's sandbox. Okay? Secondly, the same social norms are there. So as humans, we don't like to raise our hand and say we're different. So what I was looking for was this organic, great, genuine, gorgeous conversation that never developed because people are connected with their families, friends, or whatever, and they didn't want them to know that they're going through a challenge. So now that I know that, I'm building a separate social network that's closed to facilitate peer-to-peer support. So there's a couple things going on. First off, we don't consider homeless people consumers. Me and you, we can go to a restaurant. Well, first off, we can look up on Yelp or a dozen other apps and find out if it's a good restaurant or not. And maybe we like it or we don't. And then we can go in and say, gosh, Southwest Airlines, you're horrible, or Southwest Airlines, we were great, depending on the experience. And the brands have to change.
Right. And so you're looking at a whole Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So there's people who don't have the basics like home and shelter. And then there's people who are at the top of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and maybe that's where all the chatter comes from, because if your basic needs are met, then you don't really, you're commenting on, I just ate a hamburger or whatever.
What we do with homeless people is we go, here's services. Here's a sandwich. Here's services. Stand in line for 3 hours in the rain. So, realistically, we warehouse homeless people. And, you could take a lawyer, a doctor, a college professor, a Marine, Michelle Obama, and you put them in one room, have them share one bathroom with 2 stalls, and then kick them out every morning at 5 in the morning, even in the wintertime, even in the snow belt. And,
you wonder why they're grumpy. That's inhumane.
Well, and then you expect them to cure their mental illness or their drug addiction. No homeless person ever said, hey, could you put me on a cot with 100 other smelly people and let me, sleep there and then kick me out in the morning? Please, when it's really nice, cold, and rainy, please kick me out in the morning and that'll cure my mental illness. No,
not so much.
So as a consumer, because the money doesn't follow in the normal sense like we do, but it really does, because there's billions of dollars of going into homeless services. So once we start seeing the homeless people having a voice on social media and saying, you know what, we're not going to take this anymore, or this service is over here is really good, this is what I need. I just spent 14 days in London. Actually, I spent 24 days this year in London. There's several, but predominant is Broadway Charity is very interested in using social media for exactly what I talk about. They want real-time feedback on their services.
Well, that makes a whole lot of sense, because, in all of social, you guys have heard me talk about this, it's the Deming model, right? Listen to your employees, listen to your customers, listen to whoever it is that you're providing things for, take the information, integrate it back into what you're providing, and then you actually might make a difference in the world.
Exactly. And here, we're just throwing services and throwing stuff that may or may not work and not really listening to the people we serve. If you're in a restaurant...
There's a lot of, I would say, rich, white guilt, maybe I'm talking about myself, where we give money, right, and we think, okay, that's going to help. But what you're saying is that we need a feedback system to be able to ask the homeless, is what we're doing actually helping? And if not, what would be better?
Well, because see here, the most expensive solution to ending homelessness is called prison. Okay? The least or one of the most cost-effective and successful is called housing. So if you have a homeless person, and I recommend that you all go to Google, that Google thing search, and you type in $1 Million Murray by Malcolm Gladwell. Everybody knows Malcolm Gladwell. He wrote a little short for the New Yorker. We paid $1 million to keep Murray on the street. One of the most expenses is keeping them on the street. So imagine you have to go to the bathroom outside a dumpster in McDonald's parking lot. You want a beer, and I'm not advocating drinking. I have 18 years sober myself. What I'm saying is put it in perspective. You got to give people dignity.
Right.
We got to get them out of their environment into a place where they have dignity. Otherwise, they're not going to heal. Why should we do this? One, it saves lives. Two, it saves taxpayer money.
There's a big return on investment, not just from the money, but from our souls. And it's something that we really should take a look at. And Mark is one of the forerunners in really making a difference. So thank you.
Thank you.